with Thrive Life, and today I just want to debrief a little bit about in-home tasting and how those happen and what you do there. We just did one. I had got a phone call from someone who she could not even remember where we had met. She's been getting our newsletter every month for over 5 years. We've been using the Thrive products for, for 6 years now. And oh, hi Angie's Pantry, awesome, thanks for watching. This is the first time I've been able to get a live stream to work on my phone while I'm driving. I did a 3-day conference down in San Diego where I live streamed, and I was using an app, and then it shut down because YouTube changed things. And so finally figured it out this morning about 2:45, right before I went to bed, how to do this, and got it working. So I hope this is helpful. I'll try to answer questions and stay on track. So I'm glad, Angie, I'm glad that you love Thrive too. That's awesome. So we have done the in-home tastings. We found that those are the most effective ways to share Thrive because you get a group of people together. I mean, we had a full house. I think we had 8 people there, and one of them had tasted the food before, and actually 2, because the one who invited me, she did a sample when we met 5 years ago. She couldn't remember if it was the state fair or wherever, but we had a booth at an expo, and she remembered the product, and she just was finally ready after 5 years. So hang in there, don't give up on people. After 5 years, she asked us to come do a tasting, and she signed up for a queue. We booked another tasting event. Of course, they don't call them queues anymore, they're called deliveries. She had about $900 worth of products that she wanted to buy, and she's going to split that up into 9 monthly shipments. And I know once she gets cooking with it, she'll probably be a customer for life, like most people. And as we walked in, we just started handing out samples of the corn and peas. I always like to start with the vegetables. I know that a lot of people have a tendency to want to hand out samples of the fruits and the yogurts and, you know, the really exciting stuff. And I really have a lot of fun with the vegetables, and I know some of you have seen me talk about this, that the reason I like to share the vegetables is because it's unusual for somebody to put a vegetable in their mouth and say, wow. And with the corn and peas, that happens a lot. And the reason I'm actually doing this video right now, the reason I'm in Thrive, is because of corn. I mean, that was the very first thing that I put in my mouth 6 years ago at a show at the fairgrounds. And we had actually decided to buy it before we tasted it. We actually, the reason I got into Thrive is I went in for my annual checkup with great enthusiasm. I always pass my annual checkup with great flying colors because I had a few near-death experiences in the military, and some say that I actually did die one time. And after that happens, you just don't take life for granted. You know, when you wake up in the morning, it's a good day. A friend of mine says every day I'm not in the ground is a good day. So, I mean, you just don't take it for granted anymore. And so I've been really adamant about exercise and health and nutrition, and, you know, I do 100-mile bicycle rides. But 6 years ago, I was devastated when I went in for my annual checkup, and I always tell them, yeah, take all the blood you want, check it out, do all the tests. And I failed cholesterol, I failed blood pressure, and it was just shocking, it was frustrating. And we needed to take salt out of my diet. And so we looked at the labels and all the canned goods that we've been eating for years. And even a lot of the frozen foods are blanched. They're soaked in a brine and then blanched. So a lot of the frozen foods are not frozen fresh because they blanch them in a salty brine solution. And so the Thrive foods are, of course, picked when they're ripe. They're washed and chopped, freeze-dried, usually within a few hours. And when I say dried, all they do is take the water out. Everything else stays in, all the nutrition, all the flavor. And so we talk a little bit about that when we do the tasting. And man, Angie, you're doing lots of awesome messages here. I'm going to have to go back and watch this video to read those. That's awesome. I love it that you lost weight, because I have a friend of mine, Valerie, in Mississippi, was talking about needing some weight loss testimonies. So I'm going to be talking to you and asking if you have a weight loss video. Would love to get that. If you haven't done one yet, maybe we can co-host one on my channel too. Anyway, I share the corn and peas, and a lot of times people are like, well, whatever, peas, and they're like, wow, that is amazing. And then we lead up to the fruits and the yogurts. And for some reason, we left the house without yogurt. I can't even believe I forgot to bring yogurt. I always have Greek yogurt and pomegranate yogurt with me, but for some reason, I know I sold out all my snackies. So, but I've also tried to minimize my tasting. What I bring, because I got so enthusiastic about Thrive that when I first started doing tastings in home, I would come in and I'd have a hand truck, and I had 4 Rubbermaid bins full, like 10-gallon bins. So I mean, I literally would bring 30 or 40 pantry cans with me and ask, so what do you want? What do you want to cook? And I basically was bringing my whole kitchen to people's houses. And when people saw that, they thought, I could never do that. I don't want to haul that stuff around. And so what we've done is we bring just a couple of pantry cans, a handful of snackies. The snackies make it really awesome because we have the peas, the corn, the yogurt, the pineapple, everything in the snackies. Now, I refill those snackies from my gallon cans for the tastings, but when I come in, the Fast Track Elite, you can win this stroller bag, and if you don't win, that's fine. You take any carry-on bag. I like the Fast Track Elite one because it's a larger. It wouldn't work as a carry-on, but it works really well for the tastings. And I always like to bring a portable gas stove, which you've seen in my in-home cooking videos a lot. The 5 meals in 5 minutes video, I had 5 of those stove tops at the Thrive kitchen. And Chef Todd's kitchen, he has a great stove, but with these butane burners, I know how hot they're gonna get, I know how fast they work. I've been at people's houses where they say, oh yeah, you can cook in the kitchen, and 2 of the burners don't work, and when one of them only gets warm, it doesn't get hot. And so it's really hard to cook stuff in 5 minutes if you got a warmer plate, not a, you know. So I like to bring 1 stove. I bring 3 of the little pans. I have some larger ones I use for bigger cooking classes and our monthly trainings, but for in-home demos, I like to bring 3 of the, I think they're 8-inch. They might be 6-inch pans. I think they're 6-inch pans. Non-stick. I prefer the non-stick ceramic pans. They seem to work a lot better with Thrive. You don't need any oils. You just, we call it water saute. And if you look at my videos, real simple videos of how to cook freeze-dried corn or how to cook freeze-dried hamburger, I've done very simple videos showing those small pans. And so in my bag, I have the burner stove, 3 pans. I have a small flat of 4-ounce mason jars. And each of those 4-ounce mason jars I've pre-made into meals that I like. The ones that I really love. My instant taco, my chicken curry in a hurry, my beef and mushroom that Tracy Warren absolutely loves, and I'm now featuring that a lot because Tracy, you're not the only one. I mean, I loved it, but everyone, and it was so funny because at this tasting that we did, when I said beef and mushrooms, everyone went, they were like, I was like, what? We don't like mushrooms. And 2 of them said, but we know we're supposed to be eating mushrooms, so let's try it. And the beef gravy sauce that Chef Todd invented, when you put that in the jar meal with the mushrooms and the beef, and a little bit of Chef's Choice in there, and you got to play around with it to get the seasoning just right. But everyone in the room who used to hate mushrooms now absolutely love mushrooms, which is really fun because my wife hates mushrooms, used to hate them, and it was something about the slimy texture and the way they tasted, because now after growing my own mushrooms and having Thrive mushrooms and store-bought mushrooms, the store-bought mushrooms really have sort of a rancid odor to it, and no wonder people don't like it. And they have that slimy texture because they're rotting, they're starting to go bad. And so I have a flat, and later I'll try to attach a picture maybe in a comment to show you the flat of jars. But if you want to see what it looks like, just look at my video, 7 days of single serve meals for my friend that was going to the hospital. So funny, because that's like my second most popular video, and I made it in about 12 minutes after I got a phone call from my friend Pam was getting out of the hospital. She said, oh, I can come home now, but I can't cook anything. And I just told her, hey, give me a couple minutes. And I just turned the camera on while I was literally loading up the boxes to get her a week's worth of food at her house. And in that video, you'll see the flat of 4-ounce jars, and that's what I take. I take that with me. Sometimes I'll bring the 8 ounces, but I find that the little 4-ounce jars are easy to show, and I have one of the 8-ounce jars with the chicken salad. And the 8-ounce jar with the chicken salad, and then I had one of the teenagers in the room. I said, come on up, I'm gonna have you volunteer. You're gonna cook the chicken salad. And his job was to open up the water bottle, pour the water in, put the lid on, and shake it. And then over the next 20 minutes, he had to shake it 3 times. And then add the mayonnaise. And it was just real simple. You know, the presentation takes about 40 minutes, question and answer, help people place orders. We got there at, I used to have a policy of getting there an hour early to meet with the host and prep and ask a bunch of questions. But this was a busy day. We had two meetings before that. This was our 3rd event in one day. And so we literally got there at 2:55, walked in, and at 3 o'clock, my wife was handing out the corn as I was unpacking the box, or the fast track bag. And so we had the fast track bag and one of the green Thrive bags we got from Leadership Conference. And it's the same bags that they were giving out at convention. And that had a couple of extra pantry cans in it. And then, of course, we have the new order form with we only share option 1. Now, nobody at this party signed up for option 1, but that's okay. 2 of them are thinking about it. One of them did sign up for the $100 delivery. And we booked another party for April 21st down in Spanaway. So if you know anybody in the south end of Washington, Puyallup area, I know I have 2 people that are thinking about being consultants down there. So we'll invite them to come. And then, of course, the follow-up is the key. You know, you want to, and I've been finding more and more, my old-fashioned ways of telephone is just gone out the door. People, 80% of the people don't like to answer the phone. They prefer to text. And so I found with this particular host, I didn't need to spend a lot of time on the phone. Typically, I have 3 weeks of training that I would spend, 20 minutes to a half hour on the phone getting the host ready for a tasting event. And I did, with this host, I did all of that by text and follow-up email. She had a very exclusive, limited diet because she's doing, I can't remember if it's ketotonic or one of the others, but it had very specific what she could eat and what she could not eat. And it was really fun because when I compared that list, I thought I was going to have to do all this research and figure out new recipes. But because Thrive has single ingredient foods, of my flat of jars that I usually take, there's 12 jar meals I usually bring with me to a tasting. There was only one that she couldn't eat because it had potatoes in it. She loves potatoes, so she said I should have brought it, but I took that one out. And it's just really fun. So I just ask people, show them the jars and pass them around and ask them to tell me what they want. And then we throw some water in the pan and cooked up some taco. We cooked up the beef and mushroom, and then one of the ladies wanted to know, well, when I get my vegetables, how do I cook it? She said, I don't know what to do. And so one of the things I'll do when someone gets their box is I will go to their house and help them open the cans. And what I'll typically do is 2 tablespoons of water, 1 tablespoon of corn, put it in the pan, boil it for 2 minutes, just like the video I did yesterday in green beans. And I just show them it only takes 2 minutes to cook vegetables. Same with the corn, and then I'll refresh a little bit of hamburger usually, and just show them how simple it is. Now, one of the things that I did bring, and I did a video on this last week, was a week's worth of chili. And the Thrive beans, the pinto beans, the black beans, and the red beans, they have instant beans. And what they do is they take those beans and they soak them, I don't know for how many hours, but long enough to get that harmful enzymes out that cause a lot of painful gas. They soak them, drain them, and then cook them for a couple hours, and then they freeze dry them. And so the instant beans are very much like an instant rice, where they're already fully cooked and freeze-dried. And so they call them instant beans because you don't have to cook them for several hours, but you still do need to cook them. And so after 5 minutes of cooking, they're still very firm. If you're used to eating a canned beans or canned chili, you're going to want to cook those beans for 10 to 15 minutes to get them soft and squishy. So I like my beans firm, so mine are ready in 5 or 6 minutes. But if you want them soft like the can, you're going to need to cook them for 10 to 15. I've had some people cook it for 20 minutes. 20 minutes is better because the flavors are going to mix. And that's and I did a video on the chili, so you can see the recipe. So the fallout from that tasting is we have one delivery scheduled, one where the husband and wife are trying to figure out what they're going to do, and then a tasting booked from that. And so I'm getting a notice that the internet connection is very bad, and I know that this neighborhood has really bad connection. So I'm going to end this broadcast for now. I want to thank everybody for watching, and have a great day. This is Monty Reed for Thrive Life. Have an awesome day.